After the incident where I heard my own voice, I stopped looking for a clean explanation. I didn't stop documenting, I didn't stop patrolling, but internally, something shifted. When something behaves consistently over years without measurable environmental cause, you eventually stop trying to force it into one. The next disappearance was the one that permanently changed how the agency handled 47B. His name was Callahan. He was in his early 30s, physically capable. No disciplinary history. He transferred from a different forest and had been briefed on 47B the same way we all were. Unstable terrain, no solo patrols, no responding to voices without visual confirmation. But he hadn't heard it for himself yet. It's one thing to follow policy because it exists. It's another to follow it because you understand why. Callahan was assigned perimeter duty with a ranger named Myers. Mid-afternoon patrol. Clear weather, normal visibility. Around 1400 hours, both of them reported hearing a woman asking for help from downhill inside the restricted boundary. Myers later described the voice as specific, not generic distress. She said her ankle was broken. She said she could see the trail marker but couldn't reach it. Callahan stepped off the marked path. Myers told him to hold position. Callahan said he could see her. His body camera footage shows him moving forward through tree cover. There's no visible person in frame. He stops near the clearing. The staircase is visible ahead. He says, "Ma'am, stay where you are." There is no response audible on the recording. He takes 2 steps forward. The footage glitches briefly. When it stabilizes, he's standing at the base of the staircase. Myers is shouting his name from behind. Callahan turns toward the sound. For roughly 2 seconds, there are 2 instances of Callahan's voice responding to Myers. One is near the camera. The other is several yards away. Then the video drops. The final frame shows empty clearing. Search teams were mobilized immediately. His radio was found on the ground near the staircase, but his body was never recovered. After that, the internal language changed. No one described it as unstable terrain anymore in private briefings. They stopped pretending it was erosion. The policy became absolute. No one enters the restricted boundary without explicit authorization. No one moves towards a voice without visual confirmation. No exceptions. You could feel it in the station after that. Not fear in the dramatic sense, more like recalibration. People who had treated 47B like an uncomfortable quirk stopped joking about it. Veteran rangers began double-checking each other during patrol. I started noticing smaller details that I might have missed before. The forest inside that boundary is unnaturally quiet at times. Not consistently, but when it goes quiet, it goes fully quiet. Insects stop, wind noise fades. It isn't gradual. It's as if something draws a line through ambient sound. The silence lasts anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds. Then normal environmental noise resumes. It doesn't always precede a voice. Sometimes it just happens. After Callahan disappeared, reports became less frequent for about a year. Then they returned. But they were different. A ranger named Alvarez heard his mother's voice calling his childhood nickname. That nickname was never used in personal files. He didn't respond. Another ranger heard updated wildfire containment line identifiers that had only been circulated internally 3 days prior. The phrasing was correct, but the directional reference was wrong. That detail began to matter. It understood structure, but it didn't understand geography. It never calls from directly in front of you on open trail. It calls from somewhere you would have had to step off a marked path to approach. Always just beyond sight. After Callahan's disappearance, I requested reassignment away from the 47B rotation, but it was denied. Not because they thought I was overreacting, because I had too much direct exposure. They wanted experienced personnel near that boundary. That's when I started noticing the psychological effects. Not hallucinations or paranoia, but anticipation. When you patrol near that sector, you start listening differently. Every snapped twig carries weight. Every distant echo demands interpretation. It's exhausting. I began dreaming about hearing my own voice in the woods. Not screaming, just calmly saying my name. In the dreams, I always answered. I would wake up before I heard what happened next. 1 year after Callahan disappeared, I was assigned a dusk patrol near the boundary with a ranger named Patel. Low light conditions change the forest. Depth perception narrows. Peripheral movement becomes ambiguous. Around 1900 hours, as light was dropping behind the ridge, Patel stopped walking. He asked if I heard someone walking behind us. I hadn't. But then I did. Footsteps matching our pace. Not echoing, not offset. Matching. We stopped. The footsteps stopped. We resumed. They resumed. No voice that time. Just pacing. It lasted maybe 40 seconds. Then it ended. We finished the patrol without incident. Neither of us mentioned it in the formal report. We both documented it privately. A regional supervisor, who had never personally patrolled 47B, suggested demolishing the staircase to eliminate what he described as a liability attractor. A contracted assessment team was scheduled. 2 days before the inspection, one of the contractors visited the perimeter for preliminary observation. He later reported hearing someone call his name from inside the boundary. He withdrew from the contract. The demolition plan was postponed indefinitely. The staircase remains. 2 years ago, during what I consider my final patrol inside the extended buffer, I heard a voice behind me say, "Ruiz, do you copy?" It was my voice. Correct cadence. Correct inflection. Correct radio structure. I didn't respond, and the voice didn't repeat. The forest went silent. Completely silent. Then normal ambient noise resumed. I completed the patrol. I requested permanent reassignment away from that sector. This time, it was granted. Over 13 years, I have documented voices with no visible source, mimicry improving in precision over time, use of personal identifiers not publicly available, radio interference strongest near the staircase, disappearances involving individuals who move toward the auditory stimuli. It never presents itself within sight. It never chases. It waits for response. The forest outside that boundary behaves normally, but inside it, something replicates human voice well enough to make trained personnel step off trail. Callahan stepped off trail, and we never found him. I don't know what is in that sector. I only know that if you work in that forest long enough, you learn one rule that isn't written in any manual. If you hear your own voice calling your name in the woods, you keep walking, and you never answer it.